There you go. So this is Apollo. If you've never met Apollo, this is Apollo. He is 3 years old. He is adorable, and he is spoiled rotten. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today is the big day. Today is the day that we are going to do Apollo's breed reveal. Now, for his 3rd birthday, I decided to get him tested using the Embark DNA test, and I was fairly certain beforehand as to what breeds I thought he was. I thought that he was a Beagle Lab boxer mix with some terrier in him. My parents and I have been arguing since he was born as to if he was Jack Russell Terrier or if he was a pit bull. So it's been an ongoing battle between the three of us for a while. But today's the day where it all gets laid to rest. So what we're going to do is I have a video that Embark sent me that we are going to watch, and then we're going to go through his breeds and his traits. The really cool thing about Embark, and by the way, this is not sponsored, even though like I would love that, Embark, if you would sponsor me, that would be amazing. But this one is not sponsored. But the thing that I liked about Embark is it breaks down things similar to 23andMe, which is the human version of it. So we got to know things about like health traits and all this other stuff. So we are doing this live on my Twitch channel. I'll put the link to the Twitch channel down below. As you can see, my wonderful chat is filling it with Apollos because Apollo is our emote. He is our cute little pupper. So, okay, I think it's time for us to hop on in and watch this video. He is 23.5% Chow Chow, 12% American Pit Bull Terrier, 11.8% Collie, 10.8% Black and Tan Coonhound, 7.4% Cocker Spaniel, 7% German Shepherd, 3.2% Rottweiler, and 24.3% Super Mutt. Now, what does that mean? Super Mutt means that it is a mixture of breeds that they were not able to put enough genetic markers to properly identify. They may be able to in the future once they test more dogs, but at this time they are not able to clarify exactly what that is made up of. So let's go. I believe it's under breed. Yes. So right here, as you can see, this is a little bit better picture of it. But what is in the super mutt? So there may be small amounts of DNA from a smooth fox terrier, Labrador retriever, wire fox terrier, and American Eskimo dog. The ones that I was not expecting is Chow Chow, Collie, and Cocker Spaniel. The one that I gave the mods was Cocker Spaniel. I told them ahead of time which one that was. The ones that I am 100% not surprised over is the American Pit Bull Terrier, the Black and Tan Coonhound, the German Shepherd, and the Rottweiler. The reason why I say I'm not surprised by the Shepherd and the Rottweiler is because of Apollo's protective instincts. His protective instincts, specifically towards me, is like it. They are very, very, very strong. Chow Chows are very protective of their environment, which he is. Don't get me wrong. You guys hear him all the time. He is very protective of his environment. But the German Shepherds, the Rottweilers, and even the Pit Bull Terriers, they are all very protective of their people. So if anything is not right, Apollo is very protective of me. Even when he's absolutely terrified out of his mind, he is always making sure that he is very close by me. So that is just one of those really odd quirks about him. The black and tan coonhound is him going after all the squirrels and his nose getting him into trouble. So that's one of those big not surprise moments. The collie was actually very surprising to me. Except the only thing that was not surprising about it is collies are supposed to be extremely smart. Apollo is extremely smart. He is, however, very hard to train. So, it's a give and take. So, what do you guys think? Or which one were you surprised by the most? So we think the Cocker Spaniel maybe contributed to the nose. But his markings are very much pit, and his facial structure, like from the cheekbones further, excluding his ears, are very much coonhound. So that is, coonhounds and beagles are distantly related. They are all part of the hound family. They're just different branches of it. So that is why so many people look at him and say beagle. And oh, Anna, this dog is so stubborn. This dog is so stubborn. He's very, very stubborn. Not reason. Health. Okay, so for health, it goes through 184 various genetic conditions that they could have. He is tested negative for all of them. And they test for 24 breed relevant genetic conditions. Again, he's tested negative for all of those, which is a huge relief for us. The only thing that he has tested positive for is the ALT activity. And what does that mean? Basically, the ALT levels measure liver. So because he tested positive for this gene, all it means is that his liver levels are going to be on the low side. And for the vet, that just means that if his normal blood work levels are on the high side, then it's something to look into. But it's not a bad thing at all. Not a bad thing at all. There's plenty of dogs that live long, healthy lives with low baseline ALT levels. So it's just really something for the vet to pay attention to. So the thing that really concerned us, and this was something we were given first, is the genetic diversity and inbreeding levels. And his coefficient of inbreeding is 53%, which is not good. You want your dog to have the lowest percentage of inbreeding possible. True mixed breeds are in the low ends. It's 0 to 10%. You want the dog to be under 10% inbred. And that means that basically most purebreds are on the high end of inbreeding. The fact that he is 50% says that he has at least a few purebred dogs in his ancestry. So, yeah, it's something to pay attention to, and it means that he runs the risk of health problems later on in life. As the older purebred dogs get, the higher risk they have of getting non-genetic diseases and such. So this is something for us to pay attention to. And they were able to pinpoint how far back at least one of the purebred dogs are in his family tree, and which I'll show you guys in just a second. But so if we go to breed, I think that's where we just were. Yeah, so let's break down the breeds a bit. So Chow Chow, they have a proud, independent spirit that some describe as cat-like, Often aloof and suspicious of strangers, they may not be a cuddle buddy, but for the right person, they are a fiercely loyal companion, which is very true. He is. He is not very aloof except when he wants to be, but he is very suspicious of strangers. He is cat-like. There's been many times that he's done something and I've gone, oh my God, Charlotte used to do that. And Charlotte was my cat that I had for 17 years before I got Apollo. But that's personality wise, he gets a lot of his personality from the Chow Chow breed. But he doesn't align like perfectly with a Chow Chow. He's definitely not aloof unless he wants to be. So for the American Pit Bull Terrier, they originated in the British Isles and descended from Mastiffs. And they were very popular in the U.S. for a long time, like way back. They fell out of popularity, I'd say probably 40, 50 years ago, something like that. But a fun fact about pit bulls is they used to be nanny dogs. So they used to be trusted to take care of infants and toddlers. And they were not known as aggressive breeds except when provoked. So it really goes to show that what we think of now as pit bulls is more of a learned behavior than it is a genetic behavior from them. Collies, they are herding dogs, and they are highly intelligent. They're very loyal and very sweet. He gets a large part of his personality from Collie because he does try to herd. We noticed that a while back, but we thought that was part of being a hound dog at first. Because if you're doing something or going somewhere he doesn't want you to go, then he will definitely try to herd you into the direction where he wants you to go. It doesn't work, but he will still try. He also is extremely loyal and is a little sweetheart. He doesn't show it as much for you guys on stream, but he is. Like, every time he comes to see me, whenever I come home, if I'm going out to the store or something, he always runs up and has to just put his paws on me, and then he runs outside. If he sees my mom, he goes up and he like gives her big kisses. He gives everyone kisses. If he knows you, he will give you kisses. Around new people, he's very hesitant at first. He is very suspicious of them until he gets to know you, and then he'll decide if he likes you or not. And then if he likes you, he'll be all over you. If he doesn't like you, he will hide between my legs. Yeah, so Anna, I thought he was Corgi. I thought he had Corgi in him over Collie because he does the sploot a lot, which Corgis are infamous for. And actually, Darla, when he was a puppy, people would ask if he was a pit, if he was a purebred pit. So they did ask about that. And I was like, because in my area, pits are very frowned upon, and a lot of people don't like pits. So I've been hesitant to acknowledge that he could be a pit because of people's attitudes in my general area about them. But he's too cute for people to dislike him, so that works for him. But when he was a puppy, oh, yeah, definite pit. He had definite pit look in his eyes. But so for a black and tan coonhound, they are hunting dogs. And Apollo is a hunting dog. I'm going to tell you this right now. He has caught a bunny. He has almost caught a squirrel. If we take him out on a walk and he does not have a leader on his face around his snout, he is constantly trying to chase after anything that moves. He is always sniffing for things. Definitely, that's what we thought was Beagle at first. But the black and tan coonhound, that's where he gets the tan color from. Because the tan on him is very coonhound-ish. So his body structure is very much a coonhound and pit mixed together. So, except for how he stands sometimes. How he stands sometimes is pure German Shepherd. It's hilarious. But yeah, he definitely has that. He cannot howl, though. So he is not able to howl at all, which is really funny. He will attempt to howl and his voice will crack, and he'll just switch to barking in a split second. If I can get it on video for you guys, I will. It's hysterical. And then Cocker Spaniel, again, it's also part of the hunting. But also they're very, very good looking. And I think that's where he gets a lot of his prettiness from, to be quite honest. His coat is very thin and wiry, so he doesn't, unfortunately, didn't get the nice, soft hair of the Cocker Spaniel, but he still very cute. And how lazy he's been since lockdown started is very Cocker Spaniel. Very, very Cocker Spaniel. But overall, he doesn't have much throwback to the Cocker, so it's a little bit. This one was a big curveball for us. But let's see. So the German Shepherd. So he's a utility dog, loves sports and tasks, and Apollo is a runner. When I say runner, I mean if you let him loose and he is running, he can fly. 100% he can fly. There are times to where he'll do this jump and he'll jump to get air and then glide on the air and then continue running. I call it his deer run because he looks like a deer when he runs sometimes. But he is wicked fast. If he got out and he did not stop, we would not be able to catch him. I think he could outrun pretty much any human. He is shockingly fast. The good part is though is he is very attached to us, and he does have small bits of separation anxiety, so he won't run far. But if there's a squirrel, he will run until he loses the squirrel or loses interest in it, and then will freak out not knowing where we are. But definitely, we've started him on agility, and he is actually very agile. So definitely can see the German Shepherd in him. No, he doesn't, Sam. He's not a true Snoopy. I thought he was, though. But then right here, a Rottweiler. He is... Apollo is a guard dog. 100% he will guard. And I did see bits and pieces of him that are Rottweiler. How extremely muscular they are, I think, is also something that Apollo shares with them. Because Apollo is all muscle. He's not fat. He's all muscle. So, yeah. This right here shows you a DNA breakdown. It's very cool and very colorful. The downside is the super mud. So the super mud doesn't have that many of the brownish gray, which you want to have a lot more of. Or you want it to be more colorful. But his main stuff, as you can see, there's a lot of chow in him. So the reason for that, I did some digging on it, is... So, here we'll do family tree next. So, chows were very popular in the late 70s, early 80s, and almost everybody had chows. Chows were the dog to have, and a lot of them were purebred. So, chows slowly fell out of favor because they are very difficult dogs to have. 100% they are very difficult dogs to own, and if you don't have the capability to handle a chow properly, it's a very poor experience. So a lot of people started breeding them with other dogs to try to even out that stubbornness. So that's where this tree comes in. So his parents are listed as mixed because, as you can see, and you may not be able to see, it may be too small, but it says Chow Chow Collie Mix. And then it'll say mixes here. So it's because they can only identify the main breed of the parent going back. So the parents could have had things like beagles or boxers, labs, anything like that. They are just not able to pinpoint exactly what each of the parents are. So they were able to pinpoint that one of his great-grandparents was a purebred chow. And the other one, so on both sides of his family. And the reason why both sides of the family, at least down here, are identical for the most part is because of how inbred he is, because of the chow. The chow really it's not been diluted enough like a lot of purely mixed breeds are. So that's why everything is identical, because my problem was it was too symmetrical. I thought it should have been a lot more diverse. But upon doing more research on it, that's what I found out was there were so many purebred chows that a lot of dogs nowadays have not had that bred, the purebred side of it bred out of them enough. So Apollo cannot have puppies himself. He was fixed at 8 weeks old. So, well, 7.5 weeks old, which too early, but I didn't have that choice. The shelter chose that for him. So, but it does show that on one side it was a Chow Collie mix and it was a black tan coonhound. Same thing, but on one side it was more of a black and tan coonhound than pit bull, and the other side it was more of a pit bull than black and tan coonhound. But on both sides, the Chow overtook the Collie's DNA to become the primary breed for that dog. So Apollo's parents were true mixes. And the way that Embark seems to define mixes is if it's anything more than two breeds. So my only hope is that eventually someday this tan stripe will give us more information. So looking at the dogs like mine, a lot of them, like the ones that are saying 78% alike, they do have a lot of similarities that look like him. So like right here, this dog right here has very similar ears to him. This dog right here has very similar coat to him, as you can see. And right here, there's very similar color and pattern markings. So this right here, after looking through and reading through all of these dogs, that's what got me to really like accept that, yeah, this is definitely Apollo. He's just a hodgepodge, and he's just a mixture of all of these different ones. But this one right here, this is what sold me, is this dog's smile is very similar to Apollo's smile. So Apollo, it's very hard to get him to smile, but once he smiles, like, you fall in love with it. But his maternal haplotype it comes from Europe. So breeds that this is in the most of is the Rottweilers, Afghan hounds, wire-haired pointing griffons, Jack Russell Terriers, Samoyeds, and Papillons, which I don't know those two. But I think this is where he gets, so whenever he turns his head a certain way, he looks like a Jack Russell Terrier. So I think that that's a throwback to this haplogroup. Because he'll just pop his neck up, and like his neck will seem like extraordinarily long. And then you look at him and you go, are you sure you're not Jack Russell? So, and I've had people tell me that he looks like a long-legged Jack Russell. So I think that that's a little bit of a throwback to this one. The paternal haplotype comes from Asia, actually. So again, so this is where Rottweilers, Labrador Retrievers, Dachshunds, Bloodhounds, King Charles Spaniels. So this is kind of showing like where his breeds originated from. So he's a European Asian hodgepodge, essentially. So for relatives, this is a really cool thing about it, is they found two relatives that are listed as close family, which means that while they are not litter mates, they are essentially first cousins to him. So, unfortunately, neither one live close to me anymore, but all of them were born in the same area as Apollo. One is in Texas, one is in Kansas, I believe. But yeah, none of them are close enough to where they can. But the interesting thing is they have a large percentage of Labrador Retriever. So that's why we think in the Supermutt Labrador was listed, but it was diluted enough to where it wasn't its own category. So we do still think that he has a lot of lab in him, but not enough for it to be a defining genetic characteristic. And they do tell you some different traits about him. It's about 50-50 on that. So it'll tell you things like the base coat color, the color modifiers, as far as like there's different pattern coats is genetic, and it's based upon specific breeds. So it'll tell you exactly like what his genes tell you about that stuff, like coat length, shedding, texture, if he's hairless, or if he has any albino parts in his DNA, how long his muzzle is, how long his tail is, even down to if there's dew claws on his hind legs. So it's some really cool stuff. And if you'd like to know specifics about him that you don't get to see in this, then definitely let me know. And I can go over it with you. We can talk about it more. We can talk about it in Discord. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can leave comments down below and I will try to answer as best I can. But there's so many things on this. Honestly, like, the experience with Embark was absolutely amazing. Oh, yes, and there's also some genetic stats about him. So it determines the percentage wolfiness that he is. So, and it's not how much wolf is in him, it's how much of him is a throwback to when dogs were essentially domesticated wolves. And it's 1.2%. So it's a medium ratio. It is higher than most of the other dogs that show up in Dogs Like Apollo, but it's not a very high percentage at all. And his predicted adult weight is 49 pounds. I wish. He goes on too many hunger strikes for him to be at 49 pounds. He averages between 44 and 47 pounds, depending on how willing he is to eat for me. He is not food motivated at all, so he will sometimes not eat for 2 or 3 days. I can't do anything about it. That's Apollo. And for his genetic age, currently he is 32 years old in human years. So 3 years is 32 years. So he's still very young. He still has quite a bit of life left in him. So it gives you a lot of fun. But I did add some photos. So this was a photo that I took not too long ago. I believe it's posted on Twitter. But then there's also this. So this picture right here is the first picture that I took of him at home. Exactly, Anna. Exactly. He's a little bit older than me, which I'm not happy about, but it's okay. But yeah, so this is the very first picture. So you can see he does have a lot of, if you look at him, he does look very pit. And then this is him riding in the car. This shows you how old my car is. It's a very old car. But you can see I still have those that are old enough to appreciate. I have hand crank windows, and I have manual locks. So that tells you how old it is. But this is him sitting in the car. He will sit in the car, and he sits in the front seat. Yeah. This is about 1.5 years old, too. So this is when he was a little over 1 year old. So, yeah, like I said, the best part about, and you can add things like documents, things like that. They give you a certificate. You can also send the results to your vet, and I will be sending it to the vet, so that way the vet is aware of his genetic predisposition to low liver levels, just so they have it on file. But the thing that I liked the most about Embark is they kept me informed every step of the way. So down to when I ordered the kit for Apollo and registered it, then they let me know because we had a problem with the first swab. It ended up getting dropped on the floor because he fought us. He did not want to do it. So they sent it to us again, and I had to take him to the vet for a nail clipping, so I just had the vet do the swab. But then they notified me when they were notified the swab was in the mail, when they received it, when it went from received to in process, and then they notified me every single step of the genetic process, a genetic testing process, I should say. So I got a really cute email explaining everything. They went into detail on how the process worked. So in my experience, it was a really good experience. I do have a referral link that they provided me. They do provide this to everybody that uses it. So if you ever decide you want to do a DNA test, I highly recommend Embark. So I will leave a link in the comment section down below. No, in the description down below. That's right. In the description down below. And you guys can use it if you want to. So, yes. It makes you wonder about your dog. Yes. It's something that, so I myself have gotten DNA tested because I am adopted as well as Apollo is, and I don't know anything about my backstory. So I thought that it was kind of fitting for the two of us to get our DNA tested because neither of us have any idea of our backgrounds. And so, for context with Apollo, he was found with his litter. His litter of, it was 5 or 6. I don't remember exactly how many there were. It was 5 or 6 puppies, and they were found at 5 days old, in a group all together, in the middle of downtown, in the downtown of the big city I live by. And they were taken to the Metro Humane Society, and the Metro Humane Society was overflowing at the time, to the point to where they were getting ready to do a waive the adoption fee to clear the shelters. So they transferred the puppies to the State Humane Society, and they were taking care of him and the litter until he was old enough to be adopted out. They posted him on their website, as well as all the other pups within his litter. And I saw the post about it. They did not have a picture of him or any of the other puppies. And I knew it was near where someone that I worked with at the time's house. So I called them and I said, hey, can you explain how I get to this, he was adopted out of a feeder supply. So I asked her how to get to the feeder supply. Showed up, saw him and his sister, fell in love with both of them, but I could only take one of them. And I wanted a light-haired dog, first and foremost. And it had been just over a year since my cat had passed, and I wasn't emotionally ready to take a female at the time. I knew that I needed to have that switch to have a male animal instead. And so I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to take him. So $350 later, I was the proud owner of Apollo. His original name was actually MacGyver, and he was a troublemaker even at a couple weeks old. While I was completing the paperwork, he got yelled at for beating up his sister twice. And then when we tried to take the picture that they take of you when you first adopt them, he did not want to look at the camera. He kept trying to turn away from the camera. So it was one of those, like, things snowballed super quick. I put him in the back seat of my car. I didn't have a carrier for him or anything. I just put him in the back seat of my car. He got down on the floorboards and crawled under the driver's seat and got stuck underneath my seat. So I had to go to my parents' house. My mom had to help fish him out from the car. And I ended up having to leave him at her house while I went and I got puppy stuff, because I had nothing for him. So there's his starting story with me is all over the board. And honestly, that's kind of how everything is with him and me together, is things just happen. That's all it is things just happen. But yes, so this is Apollo in a nutshell. So, yeah. I know you guys have been really interested in that and getting to know him, and I know you all have fallen in love with him as much as I have. So, I thought it was fitting to do this breed reveal with you guys. If I wasn't for puppy stuff, what made you want to go to the adoption center? So I had wanted to get a dog for the last 2 years of Charlotte's life. I was wanting to get a dog myself. My parents have a dog. Her name is Mallory. You'll see her on Apollo's Instagram. And I wanted a dog of my own. I grew up with 2 labs. And then we had to go through a period of time to where we didn't have any dogs. We got 2 puppies. And we thought that we were going to be able to keep them. And then some stuff happened for my mom, and we ended up having to give the dogs away. So having a dog back in the house was really nice. And I wanted another dog. I wanted a dog that was my dog, that I really wanted the dog and Charlotte to, like, live together, like, for them to kind of, like, feed off each other. And it didn't happen. And then Charlotte got sick, and the last year of her life, I did not feel comfortable bringing another pet, period, into the household because of how sick she was. And I was afraid that it would make her suffer if I brought another animal into the household, because her and I had a super strong bond. And so it actually took me, after she died, about a year to be able to emotionally be ready to have another pet. And I woke up one day, and it was probably about a week straight. I had dreams of a dog. I never saw the dog, like what it looked like. I just knew that there was a dog. And I just kept dreaming about the dogs, about having a dog over and over again. And I was like, you know what? It's time. Something's telling me I'm ready for a dog. So I started looking, and it took about 2 months of looking, because I knew I wanted a lab. I knew I wanted a light lab, and I knew I wanted a male. And there were two dogs beforehand that fell through. That there was one that was about 6 months old that fell through. That was about 2 hours away from me. And then there was another one that was a puppy that that fell through at the last minute, like right before I was going down to sign the paperwork to pay the fee, all that stuff. And then I was like, you know what? I was just looking pretty much daily to see if any other dogs were on there, to see if there was a dog that met what I was looking for. And he wasn't exactly what I was looking for, but something about him, even without the picture, just told me, just go look. It doesn't hurt to go look. Just go take a look, see what's there. If not, if anything, it let me get out of the house on a weekend. I had just started working at my last job, and I was like, you know what? I'd been there a month. I was like, it's time. I need someone to come home to after a long day's work, because I already knew that the job was going to be super stressful for me. And I was like, I need an animal companion. And something just said, just go and take a look. And when I went there, he was there, and I was just took one look at him and immediately called my mom, and I was like, this is it. This is my dog. And I had, like I said, I had literally nothing ready for him. And she was like, well, are you sure? Are you sure? And I took pictures. I took a picture of him. I sent it to her. And I was like, I'm pretty sure this is it. Like, I don't want to risk walking away to think about it and him not be there. So went ahead, adopted him, and just brought him home. And he and I have not been apart for more than 12 hours since I brought him home 3 years ago. So yeah, that's pretty much our story together in a nutshell. And it was him and one sibling left out of the entire litter. And they had just put him up for adoption the day before. So over a period of 2 days, all of them but him and one of his sisters were adopted. So that's Apollo's story, and how he got to be here. And originally I was going to name him an Egyptian name. But because I love ancient Egypt and I love all that sort of stuff, but nothing fit. And we thought about maybe Zeus, and a couple of other names. And then my mom was coming across, and she said, well, what about Apollo? And I was like, perfect. And I have planned that if I do get a sibling for him, and I'm hoping to soon. Honestly, with how things are going, I don't know when it'll be. I'm hoping very soon, but he does need to go through some extensive training to be around other dogs and not panic. Because he's had a lot of bad experiences with other dogs, specifically in my neighborhood when walking. But I wanted to get a sibling for him, a girl, and name her Artemis. So then that way it would be Apollo and Artemis. And then if I got a third dog, which my ultimate goal is to have 3 dogs. My third dog would be named Athena. So it'd be Apollo, Artemis, and Athena. So that is the plan. But yeah, Apollo unfortunately has had too many run-ins with dogs that don't listen to his warning signs. And because of that, it's made him very skittish. So he's going to have to go through some extreme training before we can bring another dog into the household. Smorgy was one of the last two as well. Really? So see, yeah, I think when it comes down to it, when the reality of a dog being, when you're going to the shelter to adopt and there's only one other dog within that litter, especially if they're puppies, then it's like you look at it differently than if you went in and the full litter was there. It's like that dog could have been adopted like all those other ones were. The fact that that dog was still there means that that dog was meant for you. Yeah, my entire family agrees. He was meant for me. 100% he was meant for me. So thank you guys for coming along with this breed reveal with me. It's been so much fun showing Apollo off to you guys, letting you guys get to know him a little bit better. So if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you never miss any of my videos. I do a lot of sim stuff, but I'm also starting to do some other fun things on here as well. So you're not going to want to miss out on that. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!